Whoa, we're frozen. Why are we frozen? Huh. Hey, Daniel. Good evening, everybody. If you hear me, I don't see myself. Yeah, frozen, right? Frozen. That's hilarious. All right, Daniel, I know you're back there. See what you can do, because I'm just completely frozen on the screen. I could take myself off and come back or something like that. Not. All right, everybody hang tight. We'll figure this out. Okay. I'll be right back. Hang tight. Wow. That was not a good look where that was frozen initially. I could try to recreate that. Something like, I don't know, crazy. All right. Yeah, that's Ghosts in the Machine, right? We teched right before the show. Everything was beautiful, and that's how that goes, right? So, hey, welcome everybody. Great to be back. Excuse me. It was like 67 degrees here in New York today. I'm wearing short sleeves for the first time in ages. It feels like liberation. It's awesome. And my next guest lives my guest tonight lives in very warm temperatures. He doesn't have to deal with any of that kind of stuff. He's wearing short sleeves whenever he wants. But I feel great wearing a t-shirt today after this crazy long winter. Anyway, let's see who's here. Terry, hey, Aaron, Jason, good evening, Joseph, Anna Maria, Terry, Carrie, hey, Dave, what's up? Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Everett is a beast. I agree with that. Everett is a beast. And we're going to check that out, directly in just a little while. Hey, Barbara. Hey, Maria. Hey, Solomon. How are you? All right. Great to have everybody here. So, Philly, that's it. Philly in the house. So look, tonight, my guest this is the return of Everette Harp. Everette Harp, the return. Everett, hey, John, how are you? You stayed away this week. Excellent. Stayed awake this week. Fantastic. I think last time I did this with Kirk, John nodded off early. So good to have you here, John. Sal, how are you? Hey, Joel, what's going on? Eduardo, what's happening? Anyway, so way back in October, my guest tonight was gracious enough to start this whole thing off with me. And I'm friendly with everyone that I've interviewed here in real life. Hey, Justin. But my guest tonight is my good friend. In actuality, we chat all the time, and banter around and have fun together, and we're actually good friends in real life. So it's a thrill to have him here again. And the amazing bonus tonight is that Everett is going to play live for us. So without further ado, I'd like to start the show off like that. Just bring Ev into the space and let him do his thing, and we'll hope that the tech continues to behave itself. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Everette Harp. And come on, come on, come on. Get out. Come on. Woo!
I have to remember all the tech stuff.
Woo! Oh, man. Sounds fantastic. Get out of here. Come on. Oh, that sounds great. Dude,
Thanks,
real
Andy.
quick,
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. What horn and mouthpiece are you on right now?
I'm on the on a Gardala Studio.
Nice.
Studio King 7.
Nice. Sounds fantastic.
And a very uncooperative reed.
Well,
no, yesterday the reed that I had went totally soft, and it was playing well for about 2 weeks. And I thought, great, this is going to be great. And then yesterday,
I know the feeling, man. You're like this is it. Just make it through the show, and then right before the show, it's like, see ya.
Yeah, I could have made it work, but if I had gone up for any high notes, it was over. I
thought I heard you. Well, I heard you play something up there, IG, but I mean like higher than that.
Well, this reed is certainly better for it. It's a little harder, but that's why you hear me breathing so hard. Let me turn the lights up. Just
okay, man. Sounded so great. It's a treat to hear you, man. I know everybody in the space is bugging out.
I saw John Ernesto in the chat. Hey, John.
Yeah, John's here, man. John's here, and that's a place that we get at first. We get to hang out and play together, and whenever we get to play together, it's a lot of fun, man. So obviously, I miss that. Great to hear you and be reminded of those times. But how you doing, man? How you feeling? You itching to get back out there?
Oh, like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
It's one thing to sit around and practice, and it's really hard to keep the motivation up. Just I'll put it like this: Jamie Abersol and I have a very more personal relationship now than I did in college. So that's all. That's most of the plan. Aside from the sessions that I've been doing, this is thanks, John. It's been really trying, trying to keep the horn in my mouth, all the time. Every now and then I'll take a little break and come back, and the horns will just beat me up. But I've been okay overall.
It sounded great. Hey, so there's a little feedback from the assembly Could you still hear me if you turn my voice down in your speakers a little bit? Would you still be able to hear me?
Are
I
you
guess
too loud? They're
I'm
saying.
echoing in your mic a little bit, apparently.
Oh, well, why don't I do what we discussed before?
Well, that's cool.
See if I can do that for now, and then when we play, I'll make the change.
Okay. Hey, Jeff, he was killing it, wasn't he? I think the echo might be from your mic. Oh, no, that's good. Yeah, that took care of it. Right. So it was the echo cancellation stuff. That's sweet. Everybody, how's that sound, everyone? I'm in single voice now, right? Solo voce. Anyway, so excuse me. Yeah, it is difficult to not play with people. And do you are you getting the sense that that's going to return in the fall? Like what do you see when you look at the landscape?
Jazz Funk Soul actually has what is it? Sea Breeze Jazz Festival that's coming up
In April.
late April. So that's gonna be our first date, and everybody in our band has been vaccinated. So
is that right? Oh, so you're good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. So we're feeling fairly comfortable. We want the people to be responsible and be very comfortable with being there. If you're not comfortable with being there, please do not go. I mean, if you have any apprehension whatsoever, don't go. I mean, a few of the guys, I got a call from one of the sound engineers that does a lot of the artists there, and he was saying that the artists were getting grief for doing the festival. Like they were actually being complicit with the super spreader idea. And look, the festival is doing everything they can to protect everyone. And only thing that we can ask, because look, we're just dying to play.
Yeah.
And we're doing everything that we can to keep everybody on stage and all the other artists safe. We're staying away from each other and all that stuff if we hadn't been vaccinated.
Right.
We ask the audience to do the same. If you haven't been vaccinated and you don't feel like it's a proper place for you to be, and it is in Florida,
right?
And you might have a bunch of travelers, but we know the Florida residents, they don't care. They'll be there. So,
right. Well,
so anyway, we just ask that you take the precautions, do what you need to do. If you want to be there, we ask that you be responsible when you're there.
I agree, man. And I don't think there's going to be some point at which there's a stamp, right?
Right.
And okay, it's now 100% safe, 100% guaranteed for everyone. I don't think that's going to come. I think it's really about responsibility and opening the aperture and more vaccination.
I mean, it is going to get better, obviously.
Without a doubt.
It's going to get better closer to
it's going to be down
May and June.
For sure. But people are going to have to make that choice, right? You can't guarantee, complete freedom from disease on planet Earth, right? Even going forward.
So you can get the cold or the flu there with standing around. But not to say that this, I am in no way delegitimizing what we've been doing.
Absolutely not.
But what you're saying is, you have to be careful, even more careful with this actually than you would with anything else. But just take the same precautions. I'm
saying that the way for us to come back and be playing live, right, is for the risk to go down, and also for people to understand that there is no such thing as complete freedom from risk, right? Which is not delegitimizing or minimizing anything. It just means, you're on planet Earth, and when the risk gets down to a lower level and concerts come back, that'll be baked into the idea of concerts coming back, right?
Let me tell you, I am so looking forward to it.
Oh man, you're looking forward to it. Everyone that gets to hear you was looking forward to it too, man. It's fantastic that you guys are going to play. Now,
what have you been up to?
I'm pretty good, man. I had this new record out, and that's pretty right. Well. I had a nice, I remember way back when I tossed a few things at you and asked you to help me pick a single, and you did that very deft kind of well, I'm not sure, I think they'd all be cool. I don't really think I could pick a clear winner, but I think they're all great. You did that lovely dance like that. And
I told you which one I thought.
I know, I'm just kidding. But that went well, and I'm gonna have another single dropping in April. And I tell you the truth, like every week there's something to do out of the house, right? Mostly saxophone recording, but a little bit of producing, a little bit of fixing stuff, right? Tech stuff. And and there's a little bit of recording session work in New York that's going on.
Yeah.
Which is now, it's interesting. It's coming with without going into the details, I've got something coming up in a couple weeks, right? And so the gig's session's on a Friday, and we have to go get tested for a big corporate client without mentioning any names, right? That's who's at the top of this thing. We have to get tested Monday and Wednesday.
Oh,
right?
good.
Yeah, we have to do 2 tests, and we get paid to do the tests now. So getting the test pays money. Pays a couple $100. You go get the test for each test you take, and then you do the session, and that pays what that pays. But that's kind of like a new reality where like the testing is part of it, and they're going to come up with money to kind of pay everybody to drive to the testing site and get tested and drive home. So that's kind of interesting. But anyway, it's slowly kind of percolating back, and I'm doing a lot of practicing, which is fun.
Yeah, I was listening to you.
I didn't know. So before we did the broadcast, right, I think I'm by myself in the space, and I'm just kind of like, firing around, like playing a bunch of fast shit and practicing.
Oh, firing around. Firing is the operative word there.
And then I see Everett in his space, but he's grayed out, so I think he can't hear me. And he comes up on my phone on WhatsApp, and he's like, "Cut that out, or I'm not doing the show." I was like, no, I didn't know. I wasn't trying to do anything. I was just playing, practicing. But we banter like that. We have fun like that. Like Everett, Everett says like, "Oh, you cut that out," and I'm like, "You cut that out," right? Like we kind of fuss around about like the other guy is better. So.
I'm almost 60, and you're somewhere close, and your fingers have gotten faster. Mine have slowed.
Well,
so I'm a little jealous.
I don't know. And fast fingers. I mean, that at the end of the day, that's just what that is. That doesn't mean nothing really in the world of music, right?
Then the capability of doing it means something. But
yeah, in the world of saxophone, you're
okay.
Someone fires a bunch of shit off, you're like, whoa, that's cool, But anyway, so you look like you got your alto up. You going to hit something else for us?
You know what? I thought I'd play a little something. The first tune I played was a song called All Jazzed Up and Nowhere to Go.
So great.
And I've been very fortunate to have a lot of young upcoming sax players around the world like that song. And
no surprise.
And I've had the opportunity to listen to a lot of them transcribe what I did. And then even see some of them with videos of them playing the song live, doing what they do.
Right.
So it's certainly an honor, to have people enjoy the stuff like that. And when we were kids, man, we were playing other guys' tunes, and I remember the first time I met Brecker when I was I was probably 21. And he was in Houston, and I just happened to, right place, right time.
Yeah.
Eddie Gomez thought I was someone because I had just come back from North Texas, and everybody in Houston, my hometown, was welcoming me home, and he thought that I was some, prominent musician there. So he came up to me and said, "Hey, man, do you know any place to go hear some jazz after this? We'd like to go." It was a Steps Ahead concert.
Cool.
And I said, "Sure." And I had just gotten this huge Buick LeSabre. So I heard Yusef Lateef was playing in town. And so I told him, and he said, "Yeah, we'd love to go." So I pulled the car around, and here comes the entire band. I'm not kidding you. It was, in the back seat, Randy Brecker just happened to be in town because at that time he was dating Eliane Elias. And they got in. Mike Maneri got in the back seat. Peter Erskine got in the back seat.
What?
And I think it was everybody but the bass player. And then, no, the bass player, Eddie Gomez. Mike got in next to me, and then Eddie Gomez got in. So
good thing you bought a big car, man. It's a good thing you bought that big car, right?
I'm driving down the street with all these guys in the band, and the piano player was the only one that was. Oh no, Eliana was there. Everybody was there. Anyway, I'm driving down the street. And people are, flashing their bright lights at me, trying to get me to turn my bright lights off. And it wasn't my lights. It was like my eyes and my smile. Because I was in heaven, man.
You're beaming out of the windshield.
Yeah. And so I'm sitting next to Mike and able to get a little conversation in while we were in the car. I said, man, I've been listening to everything you've done. Man, I love your stuff. And I started exclaiming, about certain tunes. And he says, God, I can't believe I'm that old. And I tell that story only to say that after, hearing a lot of these young guys, especially from Latin America, that have transcribed and played and appear to really enjoy what I do, redo the songs. I can't believe I'm that old, but it's really an honor.
It is not. I'm sure, like me, we did that when we grew up, and you had Dave Sanborn and Mike and other people up here. And, I don't, even when you were young, I mean, I felt this way too when I was young and making a record. I never imagined that there'd be a day where I hear some kid spitting me back at me. I just never even considered that was a thing. That's not for me. That's for Dave Sanborn, and then eventually it happens in smaller numbers, but it really is. It is honorable. It's amazing to see that the music has gone and everybody, right?
Other people as well, even on my level. There's so many great sax players out there, man, and I'm still listening and trying to and learning more as I go along, and I'm transcribing solos. I have a tendency to go back and transcribe older solos,
right?
People like Dexter Gordon, who I grew up listening to, and kind of ventured away from. Now I'm wanting to get that style back into my playing.
Right.
And so I'm going back and I'm listening and playing and transcribing, and just kind of incorporating, trying to get my vocabulary back, I should say. So anyway, having said all that, there's another tune that a lot of the guys are playing out there, and I thought I might try and play it.
Let's hear it, man.
A song written by Chuck Loeb, called "Monday Speaks."
Fantastic. Let's hear
it.
That's great.
Let me put me back in stereo mode here.
All right.
And I think
it's so great for me. I just get to sit here tonight and Everett does the tech.
All right. Let's see. Let me get us started here.
Awesome. Awesome,
All
bro.
right.
Awesome.
Let me put you back.
Yeah. You're doing so
Sorry,
great.
guys.
I mean, I think, people might not understand. It's this is a different thing, right? In this sense, like when you're playing a gig, right? Before you play, you're off stage, or you could even step away from the mic and warm up for a little bit, right? You have a little bit of private space before you hit it. This thing, you're just talking to me, right? You're talking to me, the horn's hanging, the reed's drying out, right? We're just talking, and then you got to go boom, right? You got to just go
Right. And
right
also
at it. You don't get a note.
I had a pad that was sticking.
Yeah, I mean, it
had to
really
get my sandpaper out.
crushed it, man. You sound so good, but it's really it's really a different thing. It's really kind of a big deal to pull this off, right? And then go on the screen and click some stuff. So thank you for being so awesome and handling this all so graciously. So meanwhile, is that a Beechler?
Yeah, I've been on this Beechler. I've had this Beechler since 1982.
So dig it, man. Like that. I mean, if the mouthpiece and horn, whatever the combination is, it's so huge, right? Like you're playing C sharp, and it's kind of like doing that nice break up. It's breaking up a little bit, but the size of the sound is just so giant. C sharp, D, right, all up in there. Like, yeah. That's really
because I blow really hard.
Yeah, well, but you can blow really hard and make an ugly sound. I mean, that's the C sharp that I was just hearing, like that you playing up there, like C sharp, D, E. Those are giant, man. Those notes sound giant. So that's the
wonderful thing. The wonderful thing I like about this mouthpiece, because like you, we came up listening to more straight ahead stuff, more mainstream stuff,
right.
And the metal mouthpieces don't always lend themselves, depending on the player, to being able to transition over into playing that kind of stuff. It's still going to have its own intrinsic qualities. It's going to have a slightly harsher attack at times, and it's going to have a slight edgier sound. But I think depending on approach, and I'm going to try this, just for an example.
Okay.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
The mouthpiece lends itself to be able to transition to that stuff. You're still going to have a little bit of the edge, but it just depends on the approach.
It's just got this big fat, like. Yeah. that's a
Yeah.
super net. It's still not. I mean, that's great. That's a big sound, but
It's not a sweet.
that-
It's not a
that's
sweet jazzy sound.
yeah. But that's also just giant. You know what I mean? And your F sharp is like twice as big as that. I feel like.
Well, it could also be that my mic is up really loud.
Anyway, it sounds fantastic, and as we've kind of discussed, you're the type of animal that I like, man, because you can crush some soul and pop playing and R&B, and then sit down and play a standard. And when the descending 2/5s by half steps come, you're not half stepping through them, right? You got the information, the harmony, the scale. So
all goes better than most.
well, you know what I'm saying. Like that's
really,
the type of animal that I like right there. That's the type of thing I like, the type of being that I like. So
yeah, well, when you got guys like you and Eric Marienthal and Gerald Albright and Kirk Whalum out there, you can't come in ghosting. You gotta learn this stuff. And man, I had to tell you, I mean, and that's the contemporary side. What I'm saying is the contemporary players that can do that stuff.
Yeah.
There's some younger ones, Elon Trotman, Marcus Anderson.
Yes.
Those guys that I'm really familiar with. There's some more really capable players out there.
Yes.
But, when you have those guys, you guys out there, you kind of want to bring some ammunition. And I've always been a student of.
You're interested in that predates knowing who I am, right? Like, let's be real. Like that was in you early because you resonated with it, right? And you chose to study all of those different things, right?
Yeah, and I still do. I mean, I sit here daily and work through changes and work out things that I'm hearing in my head, and I try to figure them out theoretically. Not as much theoretically how they apply to the chord changes,
right?
But theoretically how I can figure out those same ideas in the other keys and know exactly what to play, as opposed to waiting for my mind to hear it and know the notes that my mind hears and play them immediately.
Right.
Unless I'm playing a lot, that doesn't happen as often. When I'm playing a lot, then when my mind hears a note, my fingers automatically play it.
Right.
That doesn't happen when I'm not playing a whole lot. So it's a little bit tougher.
Right.
So I want to make sure that I actually have the knowledge of what I'm doing. So if my mind and fingers aren't connecting, I can at least have that to be a foundation.
Right. I dig it. Hey, I'm going to pop a quick question up because I see a question I want to speak to from Dave. So you could just describe your setup, which you've kind of done already. And this is a great question. Do both of you have any tips for sound development besides long tones and overtones? and I absolutely have thoughts on that, but do you want to go first?
No, you know what? I don't have any, let me get back in the camera here and get closer to the mic. I know the approach to long tones. I've heard it over the years. It's not something I've ever practiced on to develop my sound. So maybe that's something that you would know more about. The long tones I've done more of, especially as I've gotten older. When I was younger and I was playing every day, I could just put the horn on and just start playing hard. Nowadays, especially during COVID, when I'm not playing every day, and even prior to that, in like the last 10 years, the more, whatever you want to call it, success you have, the less you play, it seems. And it's so much different than when I was growing up and I was playing 7 days a week, hours a day, and not just practicing, but playing gigs, hard gigs. Right. And, so now I find it beneficial to practice long tones before I start playing or before I start practicing, because then my chops will last a little bit more.
Right.
As far as tone, this is what I've done from the very beginning. I've always gotten a setup of someone whose sound that I was enamored by, and I would just work to get that sound. Right. It was really that simple for me. I do know that some people can copy your setup, verbatim, and never sound like that. But that's a good starting point in my mind.
Definitely.
Just try that, find the setup, mouthpiece setup, and I'm also a believer to a large extent. No matter what horn you put on, if you have the same mouthpiece, you're going to sound like you. A lot of times, especially if you have a style.
Yes.
Uh, there are some horns that are certainly going to diminish that idea, but if it's a good horn, I have known people like, I just spaced on his name, LA sax player, incredible player, looks like Don Mensa. Um,
But
Bald,
not
red,
Tompkins.
redhead, did a lot of their, oh, come on, Brandon Fields.
Brandon, sure. Great player.
Yeah. Brandon used to change mouthpieces and horns all the time, and he still sounded like Brandon.
Of
He'd come
course.
in, hey man, check out this. It's like, man, you sound like you.
Of
I
course.
didn't notice a difference. You still sound great.
That's,
Just like,
that's all kind of like self,
you know
mental
what?
imagery and
Absolutely.
positioning, right? And you're
Absolutely. So, I mean, in answer to his question, the long tones will certainly help, and maybe Andy can speak to the overtones. But I've always had one guy said, you've always had an affinity. A guy that's known me since I was a kid. He said, you've always had an affinity for a sound, to be able to hear a sound and try to duplicate it. And I've been very blessed in that way. I'm not saying that it's something that's special. I'm just saying that I've been able to do it. And a lot of other people are probably capable of doing it. So
right.
just get that mouthpiece of the person that you're enamored by or you're influenced by and check it out and see if it works for you.
Right. I dig all that. What I would add is, Dave, is the whole thing is about getting out of the way of the air. I'm getting everything out of the way of the air. So in my opinion, like you just deliver a robust column of air, right, up through your torso, get your throat out of the way, get your embouchure out of the way, right? The air's got to sing through, vibrate that reed, resonate your head and everything around, right? And that, like, whatever style you decide to go for, that's going to give you a rich, pleasing version of yourself and of the thing that you're going after, right? You've got to let the air come out of you and go through. I don't mean playing loud, but playing loud or playing soft. The air has got to come out of you and be free. So that's my big thing, but we won't get into saxophone lesson stuff.
I'll tell you this. One thing you just said, getting things out of the way. One of the biggest proponents that I actually talk to young players about is making sure they keep their throat open.
Exactly.
Enormous.
This is enormous.
Yeah, it's huge because that's a big part of your sound. And in the early days, and I don't know, I didn't really take lessons. So a lot of it was self-taught, except for a guy when I was in high school.
Flag. Come on.
No. I said I didn't take lessons, but I also
come on, man.
hung out with some great sax players in high school and college. So in essence, I did take lessons, but as far as private lessons, no.
Right.
There was one guy that helped me with my setup, whose setup on tenor when I was in college and high school, when I first started playing tenor, it was a King Super 20 Silver Bell. It was the first tenor I got. And disclaimer, it's right now in the Clinton Library, but I got that, which is what he was playing, and I bought a Lawton mouthpiece. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Sure, absolutely.
Lawton.
Yeah.
And that was his setup. And I worked on duplicating his sound. He had this big fat Texas tenor sound.
Yeah.
And I worked on duplicating that. And so by the time I finished high school and I got to college, I was transcribing. Before then, I was transcribing Dexter Gordon solos and Stanley Turrentine stuff, and that was in junior high, actually, Stanley Turrentine. But by the time I got to college, I was thrown in with a bunch of guys that it was North Texas at the time was John Coltrane, Charlie Parker School.
Right.
And you either sounded like one of those two, or
or
you didn't exist, right?
Right.
And the cats are saying, "Man, have you heard this cat sound like Dexter, man, with that big fat Texas tenor sound?" And that kind of threw everybody for a loop.
Right.
And it was really cool to be different. But the thing that set me up for that was getting my sax players, the guy that taught at my high school, his setup. And also the big thing he had was, man, yawn.
Exactly.
Yawn when you're playing. Get that throat open and let that air just woof.
That's
just
it.
right through.
Dude, that is the entire thing. It's
Yeah.
the entire thing, right? And interestingly, like I don't think John Coltrane did that. Like when I hear him, I kind of hear like a high throat, right? Which is like particularly in his ballad playing, which is part of his sound, right? So I
It
feel like
could have been
exceptions
setup.
to every rule, but overall, listen, the thing you have to learn how to do that, right? Get that exactly what you just did, yawn, that the air. And if you want to dial that back for effect, you want to close your throat for effect, right? You have to have control over that, right?
Yeah.
You have to have domain over that to play the saxophone. That's just it, right?
Yeah.
So sorry, go ahead.
No, there are a lot of different things that come with that you can do with developing sound. And I was talking about this with Branford the other day because he sent me a video of a Houstonian, Arnett Cobb, who was
Arnett Cobb.
wonderful.
Come on, man.
It's wonderful. And he's always sending me stuff of Prez and
Right.
and who else? These cats that he loves, to throw at me to get me to slow down. Stop playing all those notes and just be melodic. And the interesting thing with that concept is I told him I've never had a problem playing cover tunes of vocal songs. I always tend to play them vocally because I grew up as a singer.
Right.
So it was very easy for me to do. So someone telling me to, play simple and play melodically, well, it's like, yeah, Kiss, keep it simple, stupid. Yeah. But I have this tendency like everybody else. I was a bebopper when I was in college. And on one of my juries, the advocate, he wrote in one of my juries, we had to do these juries at the end of every semester and play about 4 tunes with a band standards. And he said, I really loved your rendition of Stella by Starlight. I especially love the 562nd note in the second bar of your solo.
Whoops.
So I knew, thinking back on that, I knew even, I had to, known from then that, yeah, I like to play a lot of notes. And sometimes going back and just playing these ballads, it's
Beautiful.
just approach. And, I have to kind of figure out how to calm myself down when I'm playing straight ahead jazz and think that way. It's really interesting. Sorry.
No, hey
don't
man,
wanna-
you jump in and play whenever you like. It sounds fantastic, and that's the gift of this particular episode is you play. So there are a couple questions about microphones and preamps and all that kind of stuff. Without getting too geeky, I see you have a 414 hanging for your talk
I
back.
have the 414.
Record on.
This is what the 414 is actually a great all-around mic.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's
To be honest, I have Neumann U87.
oh boy, yeah.
Hold on. that I tend to use. God, this
Yeah.
is for tenor,
Yeah.
and I would use that for tenor pretty much predominantly. It would not work for alto because I don't know if it's this particular mic, but the alto just craps it out. It's just
Right.
too powerful for it.
Right.
But then I would use the soprano on the Neumann and alto mainly on this.
Right.
The other day, and it just happened this year, actually late last year, when we were talking, once I left it on and I just played the tenor over it, and I went, "Whoa, it sounds good on tenor," and it shouldn't surprise me because George Duke used to record me with a C12,
I love great microphone.
AKG C12. It was a great microphone,
The C12.
and this
Great.
has a similar capsule, so it shouldn't surprise me.
This, I mean, that's a 414. I think if you're going to spend $1,000 and get one microphone, right? Like that, this is the thing to get, man. It really is.
It's good on all the instruments.
So much ground. Like you can certainly find you could spend a lot more money and start specializing across the horns, and that's an awesome thing to do. But a 414, that goes a long way, man. Like my entire last record is on the 414, all the horns, and I'm super pleased with the sound on every track on that record. So anyway, so this,
but right now, I have to let you know, and Andy knows, I'm not comfortable performing on a standstill mic, on a mic on a stand. So I actually hooked up my wireless Shure,
which sounds great.
I had to do a little bit of EQing to try to get it sounding close to what this is, which is almost impossible. But I hope it sounds.
It sounds great. It sounds great. And your affinity for a certain kind of effect. No, it's sounding great, man. Like listen, reverb and delay are beautiful things, man.
Well, I've always been known for drowning.
Well, when we signed on and at 8:15 and we kind of talked about that a little bit and dialed you into a love. It's a wet mix, but it sounds fantastic against your tracks. Cool. And anyway, so Maria,
I hope the listeners out there are enjoying it.
There's no doubt about that. So
I wish we could.
I wish we could. So I'll just speak to this quickly. Like this is the truth. I think at this point on the internet and then these platforms, like the latency, right? The time that it takes for the sound to travel from me up to a satellite over to wherever it is, right, and down, and then for it to do the same trip in reverse means that if we played together, one of us would sound like we were very, very, very off, right? One of us would sound like we were having a very, very bad night in terms of our time feel. So unfortunately,
why don't we do this? Why don't you play a little of a tune that we both have, which I believe you and I have this affinity for, Lisa by David Sanborn. No, put up the track.
No, I can't. I'm not ready to do that, man. I'm not set up for that. Oh. I'm hanging out tonight. You put up the track. Please play this.
If I put up the track for you, can you play too?
No. Just please play this tune because you sound so awesome.
No. But they want to hear us play something. And I'd like to get your. Come on, Andy.
I'll play a little bit a cappella. I'll play.
All right.
But please play that with the track. Please. I'm begging you.
Why don't you play to it and see if it sounds okay?
I'm begging you, man.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Awesome, man. So, I mean, my favorite part of that song, it's so counterintuitive in a way, but I mean, it's like, it's so tactile. Like this, it's the C sharp and the horns open. It's almost like you're like whispering into somebody's ear, right? Like kissing them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was.
That melody is so sick, right? It's one note at that point. Oh,
Yes,
it's so amazing.
man.
So at some point, you were like,
Fooled me with it. Yeah,
like that shit was as big as a house, like twice as big as that sound.
you won't believe this, but I actually played my thumb pad off. It actually came off.
And you
You
kept
believe
going.
that?
Man. You kept going. Nice.
I broke it.
You broke it. All right.
Yeah, it came off.
It's the end of the alto part of the show.
Well, I mean, I've been playing this horn since I have another one over there. I guess it might be time to break that one in. That's a newer one. I've been playing this one since '96.
You know what's so interesting too, man? Like I didn't realize that, but that's Dave's tune, right? Like you hear all that harmony. I was like, oh, that's got to be a Don Grolnick tune, right, or something like that. But
Oh, did he write it?
he's credited. I was looking into it recently,
Yeah,
right?
I did see that, but I didn't know if that was just a mistake.
I mean,
an overlook.
I mean, one time I was over his house because he lives near me now, and he sat down at the piano and he just laid out a beautiful minor 11.
Threw that out there. I was over at his house, David said.
Oh no, come on, man! Just I'm not throwing that. I'm just saying I heard him sit down at the piano and play this beautiful minor 11 chord voicing. I was like, oh, okay, so it's completely conceivable, A, that he could write it, he's a piano player, and B, that he had the harmonic knowledge to do it. It's such a gorgeous song, man. It's an unbelievable song. So anyway, I love that. I love playing that little C sharp part of the melody, man. That is nuts. Anyway, yeah, I could just do that all day, man. It's so tactile and personal, and it's just a perfect expression of the thing that made him so powerful. So
David's obviously, you can tell, is a strong influence on me.
Man.
The one thing I do like to do, it was really funny when I first moved to LA. Prior to moving to LA, and in Houston, I'd do sessions there, and back then David was so huge that everybody wanted David Sanborn solo. So I actually had to sound like David Sanborn on these recordings that I would do. So by the time, but while I was playing in clubs, I still kind of had my own voice as well, but I was heavily influenced by David.
Yeah.
But when I got to LA, I started trying to venture away. I will never be able to get away from the influence because, he's a strong influence.
I'm going to argue that, like, in terms of modern saxophone playing after him, like he redefined what it means to play melodically in contemporary music, right? On the saxophone, the sound, the inflection set, and it's in everybody. Some of us more than others, certainly.
Yeah.
Maybe some of us not a little bit, but he would slap me across the face if he heard me saying this. But it is a very, very, very significant influence in the history.
I told him one day, I was backstage, I believe, at Concord Pavilion.
Yeah.
And he had just come off stage, and I walked by his dressing room and I poked my head in and say hello. And he said, "Hey, man, I hate you're here. I sound like crap."
Exactly.
And I looked at him and I just said, "David, on your worst day,
right,
we all want to sound like that."
Right.
But I understand where you're coming from, but know this.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you've had every bit as much to do with the modern alto saxophone as Charlie Parker did with the bebop saxophone back.
This is true, man. This is true.
It's very true. He
doesn't want to hear that. He does not want to hear it. That's correct.
Style-wise, the contemporary saxophone was heavily influenced by David.
Look,
and also people like Grover Washington as well. Especially amongst black players, African American players rather, and even just sax players at large. Grover was hugely influential, but David was heard on a lot more pop records. So he was, and Grover played all of the saxes. So he was just influential.
I look at it like this: there's certain moments, they're points of light in the history of the saxophone where a guy arrives at something and he launches an army of minions, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he launches an army of aspiring young players and fans, and that's Charlie Parker. That's John Coltrane. It's also David Sanborn, right? And I'm saying he would not want to hear any of this, but it's actually true. The guy, he inspired an army, right, of aspirants.
Yeah. Okay.
He did that. So anyway,
you want me to play
anything? My fanboy moment, but.
You want me to play anything more? Or we,
man, look, of course, you sound fantastic, man. I
wouldn't go that far, but it's good practice.
If you want to play one more, switch yourself into stereo when you do. So it's at least it sounded great, but you hit us in mono, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I know you want to be in stereo. So, all right, we're going to hear one more from Everette Harp, my very gracious and immensely talented guest. So everybody at home, virtual clap. It's an honor to have him here.
Okay, well, this is one I haven't played. I'm trying to figure out which one to do.
All right.
If my friend Rocco Ventrella from Italy was on here, I'd do this one tune, LV Shuffle, which was a song I wrote with a friend of mine, Rex Rideout, called Luther Vandross Shuffle. but I don't think he's here, so I won't venture.
Well,
into
you know
that.
what? I know he's going to watch this because he liked all the posts. He's probably asleep because it's 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning in Italy. But you should play it for him, man. It's
Well,
gonna
I
watch.
just know last time I was on, my friend Barry Eastman, and your friend, I'm sure,
Yeah, he should.
who co-wrote this one song with me. We played this tune, the actual song from the record. We played it on your show, and he just happened to be listening. So just in case he's listening again, I'm thinking I might try this one.
Let's hit it.
I haven't played it.
Let's-
Played it before live, and I'm going to try to hold this thumb
Is
rest
that right?
down here.
This is a world premiere.
All right. Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh man, so sweet. So sweet. I'm gonna wait till you turn your talkback mic on.
Yeah.
Lots of juggle, right? Oh man, that sounds so great. I'm obsessed with your C sharp now, man. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and see if I can make my setup. That C sharp is about as big as it's like a low B flat.
That's right.
It's just giant, man. It's unbelievable. Come on, that's spectacular.
Yeah, the thumb rest came off. So
Thumb
I
rest
had to
came off.
play most of the song without the thumb rest, with my hand hovering above the octave key.
Well, yeah, this is the heat of battle, man. This is it separates the professional from the from the men from the
That's
boys.
new, man.
But
That's new.
oh man, that's C sharp, bro. Come on, that's nuts.
All right, so I know now. All I have to do is play C sharps when I solo. That's it. And
If I'm around, yeah, you know, I mean, hopefully the tune's tune's not in F major, but
well, but, we can play a little bit outside.
yeah, no, I mean, hopefully it's not like a pop ballad in F major. You're jamming on the C sharp, but you sound so great, Ev. You sound so great, man. Thank you for coming on and doing this. Really amazing. So
yeah, I told you how much I didn't want to do this.
I listen. I'll share a little bit with the audience. You expressed some invitation because I think this is the first time you saddled up and done something like this, right? Where you're doing a bunch of live performance in a streaming format from your house, right?
Yeah, which you helped me set up.
Yeah, we did. We did a bunch of work on the tech and got the stereo going and got all the internet and computer stuff working and man, but it was all worth it. You sound fantastic. So, and here's the thing, Everett he doesn't really want to hear me say that, right? But I'm a couple thousand miles away, so I could be brave. Right? If we were in the same room, I might have to watch what I say, but I can be super brave right now. I work out pretty hard, but Everett's a bigger dude, and at the end of the day, I'm going to lose that battle. In truth, so anyway, hey man,
I think my battery just died.
All right, well, I don't want to keep you here forever, Evan. I know.
Okay, I was going to do that other tune that we were talking about.
Well, look, man, you want to try to work it out? That's great. I'll sit here. I'll hear you play all night long. But
keep company. I'll get a couple of batteries. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, everybody, hang around.
Taking some scotch.
Okay. Everett's going to get a couple batteries and get some scotch. So hang around. I think we're going to hear one more tune for Everett. One more tune from Everett tonight. He's going above and beyond. When we were talking about doing this right before the show, he's like, maybe I'll play 2 tunes. So we're getting a gracious amount of overtime from him.
You know what happened? I haven't been able to play for so long.
Hey man, listen, you're having a good time. You keep rocking it. I'll stay here all night, man. I'll go get a hazy IPA and have a seat. And even if everybody signs off, you could just play for me, man. That'll work. But
I really wanted us to play together.
Well, we'll figure that out. I mean, I think the tech on this stuff is constantly going forward, and I'm sure at some point they'll have it worked out where the latency is minimized, and that we should definitely get on here and play Lisa together. That would be amazing. And then
what's other songs?
Figure out a way to. All right, here we go, man. What do we got? What do you got? What are you going to play for us?
Let me get rid of this first.
Okay.
I did this tune.
Thank you, Myron. He does everything sound amazing. I'm just going to click on a couple.
I'm probably only going to play a little bit of it.
Okay, play a little bit of it. Do your thing. I'm just clicking on some of the feedback from the folks.
And it's a John Coltrane tune called Central Park West.
Oh, awesome, man. Hear it. Awesome.
One thing about recording that was when I played it live, it allowed me to. It was one of the only straight ahead tunes that I've ever played live, and I'm not feeling a whole lot comfortable with it right now because it's not in a great key, and I haven't played it in a long time. But it would at the end of that tune. George said, "Hey, why don't we do this?" And we went into.
Rubato.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And we just played the melody, and we ended on that melody. But live, it allowed me to, do that, and then let the band take off. Stop playing for a second, and then I.
Okay, man. So yeah.
I'd do that, and then I'd have the band join me.
Yeah, kick that echo cancellation in out.
Okay.
Yeah. So you don't you no longer get to run any of that. I haven't practiced.
No,
I
haven't. That's what
I haven't played straight ahead in a long time. I don't know how to play giant steps, any of that kind of that. Come on.
No, it's not that I don't know how to play it. My fingers just won't move.
No, but come on, man. Not too many guys in our contemporary jazz landscape are going to stand up and knock that out like that. So that's just
it used to be a lot easier. But I'm like I said, I'm looking forward to getting back out and playing it.
I'm going to go with what Myron says right here. Get it, Everett. All right, look, man. You got to eat dinner. It's like almost 7:30 where you are, and you've been incredibly gracious with your time, Ev. So thank you. And right, or like Rich says, play Everett. That's what I'm saying. No, everyone's like, yeah, crush it, man. Crush it. So anyway, thank you again for being here again. And I'm sure I'll see you. I'll talk to you soon on the phone or whatever. But it's great to hang out with you and hear you, man. You sound fantastic. So
Andy, thank you, and thank you to all the people that came to check it out. It was a pleasure playing for you. I hope I didn't embarrass myself too much.
Stop it. Flag. No, dude, you sound amazing. So I will talk to you soon. And again, thank you very much. Everybody, please, round of applause for Everette Harp. This man he's a gracious individual and a serious saxophone player and talent. So I'm blessed to be able to agree to come into the space. I'm just going to tell the audience real quick before you split what you did to me right before we started. So 5 minutes before the show, Everett video dials me on WhatsApp, right? And he's outside behind his house and he's smoking his cigar, right? I answer the call and this big thing of Everett's bass comes up with a cigar hanging out and he goes, "I changed my mind." 5 minutes before the broadcast, and for a couple nanoseconds, he had me. No,
That is so not me.
but then he let.
But
He
it
said,
was good.
"I
It was
got you."
good,
Didn't
but
I?" Yeah.
it scared me
So,
for a second.
so that was a lot of fun. But anyway, thank you very much, and I know everyone at home recognizes what a thrill it is to have you here. So, Daniel, let Everett get out there and get his dinner. Eb, I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Uh,
Take care, buddy.
See you, buddy. Thank you, man.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Wow, that dude is a beast, right? Covers so much territory, and it's fantastic. I mean, honestly, the size of his alto sound is just messing me up right now. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that tomorrow, other than practice. But that's really pretty amazing. So everyone, thank you for being here. It's a blessing to be able to do this. I have such a good time, and I'm also graced that people like Everett and Kirk and everyone that preceded them will come into the space and hang out with me. It's humbling and a great gift to me that they're willing to do that. So I will see you again soon. I'm not sure when. I'm not sure who's next. I'm working on some things. Gonna keep it lip to lip until I know exactly who's coming. But hopefully I'll be back here soon with somebody significant and we can hang out again. All right. So until then, enjoy yourself. Spring is coming and it's liberating. And I hope you all have a fantastic rest of March and April. And I'll let you know when I'm back. All right, Daniel, I'm out. See you, everybody.